Okay, so this is the follow-on from the skill one. This one is just going to touch very quickly on basic 101 combat in war stories, and definitely replaces the much older videos that I've done, as there's been quite a significant amount of change in the intervening period. So just to quickly recap, where we were was Igor, our Russian with the PPSH 41, is hiding in a foxhole here. Above him and yet to be detected is a German soldier with a Mauser carbine. This guy over here also has a Mauser carbine. Igor isn't aware of either of those two people. Well, sorry, he's aware of this one. He's not aware of the person behind him. We are about to find out what he does when he discovers that said person exists. And we are going into combat because he's successfully stealthed up to a point where he's within reasonable range of his opponent, and he's going to unleash hails of lead upon him. So, with all of that in mind, let's get on with it. So, the first thing that happens is we determine who has initiative. Okay, so under normal circumstances, we would draw initiative cards. You can also just roll a d10 if you want. I would suggest that Igor at the moment, having successfully snuck up on his two opponents, definitely deserves the initiative bonus. So he's going to act with surprise and get a free slow action. His initial shot at his first opponent will gain a bonus of 3 dice because that opponent is unaware of him. Now, Igor, once again, is not aware of the second German hiding in the building behind him. He's only aware of the German across the path from him. His distance is quite important, so he's currently, and we'll just put him there for the sake of simplicity, so he's directly in a square, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 30 meters from his opponent. And we gave the PPSH for the sake of this conversation. Oh, sorry, that's not our mate Igor. That is that guy. A weapon with a effective range, close range of 20. So that means it's between 20 and 40, which means it's at medium range, which means that Igor will be taking -1 dice for range for shooting his weapon. He has no special talents or specialities that would allow him to ignore that or increase the range of the weapon. So that's what we're going to take. So he's at -1 dice to start with and +3 dice because his opponent isn't aware that he exists. So that's a sum total of 2 bonus dice. The weapon itself has a dice, so that's 3 bonus dice. And his range combat skill is 1. He's got 4 dice. So far he's got 7 dice. However, Igor wants to really turn this guy into a bit of a mush. So let's just go through that. So he's got 7 dice currently to roll. And then on top of that, his opponent could avoid him if he knew that shots were being fired. However, he doesn't, so it's going to be an unopposed roll. Igor would then roll on the damage table once he's rolled to hit, and assuming he does hit, and then do damage. If that damage is greater than 3, or if he did a called shot, then he can roll on a crit. He's not going to do a called shot. He's going to gun him down with his submachine gun. He has a semi-automatic fire. Now, semi-automatic fire, there's new rules. It's not half the ammo capacity. It's 3 rounds. So if I have a look at a burst, burst fire is 1/10 of the max auto fire rate of fire in ammo. So the rate of fire of the weapon is 60, which means I'm going to use up 6 rounds. However, a burst direct will give me an additional 2 dice. So I'm going to do that as well, which means I should be rolling a total of 9 dice. So let's just go back over that. So I got 3 dice for my attribute and 1 dice for range combat. So that's 4 dice. I got 1 bonus dice for the weapon itself over here. So that's 5 dice. I got 3 dice because my opponent is unaware. That's 8 dice. I got 2 dice because I'm going to shoot a burst of fire at him, which gives me a bonus of 2 dice. So now I'm at 10 dice. But unfortunately, because I'm at medium range, not at close range, that gets reduced by 1 dice down to 9 dice. So let's roll his weapon. So when I... actually, hold on. I might just make sure I need to clear that. Yes, I do. So when I click this, it helpfully adds in most of that already. So I've got those 3 dice from my stat. I've got the 1 dice from my skill. I've got another 1 dice for gear. So that is currently the 5 dice that I'm rolling. Then I add another 2 dice for burst fire. And then I add another 3 dice minus 1 for basically him being unaware. So I'm just going to add another 2 dice. So I'm rolling quite a few dice. Let's hope this works. So Igor, from the position of hiding, pops up and empties his PPSH directly at his opponent, rolling madly. And indeed, that is a terrible roll. Okay, so I get 1 success, which means I have a chance of doing him damage. And my damage roll is 1. So I've definitely hit him. Now, if I want to do more damage than I currently am going to roll on the dice, I would need to actually push this roll. Now, as we know from pushing, if I do push, and you'll note that gear dice has come up on a 1, so I actually have a chance of jamming the weapon. And I have 2 other ones as well. So for the sake of this combat, I'm actually not going to push. I'm just going to leave it at that. So I've fired my weapon, I've sprayed hail of fire at my opponent, and I've hit him once with 1 bullet. Okay. Yep. Burst fire. Now, we'll do that in a second. So I'm going to roll my PPSH. It's got +2 damage, and I roll 1 dice. So let's roll. Okay, I got a total of 6. Okay, so if I go to my damage table, which I do have here somewhere. Yep, there it is. 2 to 6 is 1 point of damage. So our mate, old mate, Krauty the Kraut, has taken 1 point of damage. So he's... Oh, actually, I haven't written his hit points. I think it's 3. He's now down to 2. And let's say that this is also 3, because he's an NPC and not a particularly important one at that. And he has no lucky strikes. So Igor has hit him for 1 point of damage. The game is up, as they say. I have used my free slow action. That was my free slow action. Now I'm going to roll 2 lots. Sorry. Whoops, sorry. Yep. I'm going to roll initiative for Igor. I got a 5. And then I'm going to roll initiative for Kraut. Or Krauts, who got a 7. Now, initiative goes down in general in year 0, so that's how I'm going to play it. So the 2 Germans are going first. The first of those 2 Germans is Kraut, who is surprised and stunned and shot and wants to make a perception roll to see where he knows the machine gun fire is coming from somewhere, but we'll remember that Igor's hiding in a bunker, foxhole, so he may not be aware of exactly where the fires come from. Kraut got hit. That's what we didn't roll. Kraut got hit. So because Kraut got hit, Kraut needs to make a guts roll. So a guts check. If he got damaged by an attack, which he did, then he needs to make a guts check. If he fails that guts check, a number of things could go wrong. So let's roll for Kraut's guts. He's got 1 dice in guts. So before that... Okay, Kraut did not get any successes. Now, I have some foobars. I'm going to re-roll that. I got 1 success. Okay, so he's resisted falling under the guts check. If I'd failed, I would have had to choose whether he goes undercover, whether he moves away from what he perceives as the dangerous place. So he would have basically had to run away. And he would have taken 1... No, he wouldn't have taken a main pull away. Okay, so he's standing firm. He now has his chance to shoot back. The first thing he does, though, is he determines where his opponent is. So he's going to make a perception check. Let's see if he gets any successes. No! Once again, I'm going to burn my last foobar. Okay, he can't see his opponent, but he knows there's gunfire coming from over here. So what he's going to do instead is he's going to seek cover himself. So he ducks over here with his actions, runs around the corner, hides, and is now glancing over the corner, waiting to see something that gives the game away. However, the second Kraut, who is above Igor and can definitely look down, heard the fire, looks down, and instantly sees him, because I'm not going to require that to be a perception check. There's no reason why it should be. Igor doesn't know that the Kraut is behind him, and importantly, the Kraut has clear visibility and line of sight into the foxhole. So, Kraut number 2 pulls out his carabiner and undertakes a ranged attack as well. So, he's going to get 2 dice plus 4 for his agility, and the carabiner itself, which I have not put in here, has a bonus of 1 dice anyway, so that's fine. It's a bolt action weapon, so it has no option to do auto fire. I could empty my sort of rapid fire into the space if I wanted, but that's not going to be what I do. So I'm basically just rolling 7 dice. Oh, hold on. I'm basically just rolling 7 dice. 1, 2... Yep, that's what I'm rolling. Okay, so I also got 1 hit. Now, I have no foobars left, and I'm a German, so I don't get to do anything, and I will just roll damage. Now, I can change this buff because I should have. The weapon does that, and then I can roll. Okay, so I only got a 4. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I think a 4 does no damage at all. Or maybe it does 1 point. It does 1 point of damage. Okay, so Igor has now taken a wound. Sorry, Igor. Igor's wounds are not fantastic. Although, albeit, they are better than the other guy. So he's got 4 and 4. He's now down to 3. He also needs to make a guts check. However, he's got no steel, but we're not going to be rolling that. So guts check, guts check, guts check. There we are. He's quite good at guts checks, so he's going to roll 6 dice and hopefully get a success. I haven't got a single success natively for these guys. It's quite impressive. And I got a lot of 1s. Okay, I'm going to roll. He's going to push it because he doesn't want to go down. Oh, 2 successes. All right, so he's giving me 4 foobars. So the GM has got can have a maximum of 3, I think. And we'll need to confirm that actually. And he gets 2 successes on his guts check. So what can I do with my guts check, you're asking? Well, I can heal an additional thing. I can provide a success for someone else. Or I can add to my lucky strikes, which I'm going to do. So he's resisted being hit. They're both at 1 point of damage, and he realizes he's got opponents all around him. All right, so what's he going to do? He's going to now shoot semi-automatically into that area there. That's his action. He's moving on 5, if you recall. They were moving on 7. He fires rapidly into that space. So, Igor, we already know what he's going to do. He goes to his PPSH, and we clear this, and he rolls. Now, importantly, 1, 2, 3, first floor, 4, it's within close range. So it's within 20 meters. So he won't be taking a modifier for that. However, the German will be assumed to have some degree of cover. So when we roll to resist the effect of the weapon, to resist the damage, he will get a bonus for cover. I think that's how it works. Armor cover. Soft cover provides a cover bonus to resist wounds. Hard cover can only be penetrated by AP. He's got a bit of cover. So let's fire that weapon. So we're also getting +2 bonus dice again because we're doing a semi-automatic. So we'll just add 2 more dice to the roll and roll. Okay, I got one success. Okay, I'm gonna take it. Now I can push with my one foobar and get the following benefit. Sorry, I can apply my one lucky strike and get a couple of benefits. One thing I can do is I can push, but this time I can re-roll the ones. So I can re-roll all of the dice except for the 6, which is a pretty big advantage. I can add 2 dice to my roll, which is not a bad advantage. And I can change the conditions in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to use it up and push. And I'm going to push with my lucky strike. So now I get to re-roll the ones. And that paid off. Okay, so now I have 3 successes with my range combat, which actually means I can add 2 to my damage roll, which means instead of just rolling at +2, I'm going to roll at +4. And that's what I'm going to do, because I really want to take this guy down. So I roll, I'll go, yep, and then I'll go another 2, please. So that gives me +4, and then I roll. All right, 10. That sounds more promising. What does 10 do, everyone? I could have... Oh, no, that was range combat. Oh, there's no elevated. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I rolled a 10, which means I'm doing 3 points of damage. Now, if this guy's cover doesn't work, I'm going to score a crit. That'll be fun. So let's just apply... we'll assume that I've got medium cover, so soft 3 for the sake of this conversation, which means he gets to roll 3 armor dice in effect to try and reduce that damage. So I'm just going to add in 3 armor dice. If I get a 6, it reduces the damage by 1 point. Ha! It worked. I only took 2 points of damage as that German. Okay, so... I don't have a second German, so for the sake of this conversation, we'll just assume that continues. However, because actually one thing, because I took damage, I forgot. I should have applied a -1 to my skill rolls and to my attack rolls. So everything goes down by 1 dice when I'm injured, and that also applies to Igor. So Igor should have actually been rolling 1 less dice. As a result of the fact that he was wounded. That's an important point that I skipped. My apologies. So when you take a wound, you have to mark off one of these. For each point you take, you mark off another one until you run out of these to take. If you take all 3, you're at -3 dice to your roll. If you take 2, you're at -2 dice. If you take 1, you're at -1 dice. I think that covers it pretty neatly. Okay, so basically, then the combat plays out until one or both parties are dead. You can see that I'm churning through my ammo. I'm using 6 rounds per shot to use the semi-automatic fire. It's a pretty safe bet. And range matters, as I described. Damage matters. And if I'd scored 3 points on the crit, and let's actually just pretend for a second that the German didn't roll the cover roll, just so we can see what that would have looked like. So if I go back to the Kraut, let's pretend he failed the roll. Okay, I get to roll a crit, which basically looks like this. So I roll on a hit location, and I can roll a d10. So I'll just roll that d10, and I hit him in the 7, which is the lower torso. So he's been hit in the lower torso, and which is the upper lower body. And then I roll a d6 to see what impact that critical had. That's not good for the Kraut. I've severed his aorta. I've eviscerated organs. He collapses as his insides are devastated beyond repair. He's dead. So whilst he took the 3 points, which would have knocked him out, because he's only got 3 hit points anyway, he would have been broken. I've actually killed him with the machine gun in 1 hit because of that cover. Now, if he'd made the cover roll, which means he only took 2 points of damage, which in effect means that he didn't take the crit, because you only take a crit if you've taken 3 points of damage. And I think that'll do for now. So that's basic combat. There's a couple of other things, obviously, you can do. There's a bunch of modifiers. There's close combat modifiers. And I can, as I noted, get these extra combat successes when I roll to hit. One of the other ones, which was fascinating, is if there were targets who were close to each other and I was firing semi-automatic or full automatic, I could have hit extra targets. Okay, burst fire. Sorry, not semi-automatic, burst fire. Okay, that'll do, I think. Thank you.